All right, let's talk about one of the biggest, most annoying hurdles for anyone learning Spanish, those infamous irregular verbs. Today, we're going to break them down and make them way, way less scary.
You know that feeling, right? When you hit what I call the irregular verb wall, and you're just staring at these massive charts trying to cram it all in? Yeah, you're not alone. It's a classic struggle for pretty much every learner.
But what if I told you there's a much, much simpler way to think about all of this? I mean, what if you didn't have to memorize hundreds of random verbs? What if there was a system?
Well, there is. It all comes down to sorting basically every irregular verb into just 3 easy-to-manage categories, or what I like to call buckets. Seriously, once you get these 3 groups, the whole thing just clicks, and you can finally stop trying to memorize everything.
Okay, let's dive into our first and, honestly, our biggest bucket, the shapeshifters. These are your classic stem-changing verbs, and they are so much more predictable than you think. See, the key here is that these verbs aren't random at all. They follow a super predictable pattern. All they do is change a vowel in their stem, the main part of the verb. An E might become an IE, or an O becomes a UE. It's a pretty consistent little swap. Let's see it in action. Take the verb pensar, which means to think. That E in the middle there, it shapeshifts into an IE for the I form. Yo pienso. See? Simple. And here's the other common one, the O to UE change. For the verb dormir, to sleep, in the they form, it becomes ellos duermen. You can already start to see the logic, can't you? Now, listen up, because this is the most important rule for this bucket. The change does not happen for we, nosotros, or you all, vosotros. Those forms stay completely normal. So it's yo pienso, but nosotros pensamos. This is a game changer to remember. So that's our first bucket, and it's all about patterns. Now let's move on to the second group, which is, believe it or not, even easier to handle. I call these the just me verbs. These verbs are only irregular in one single form, the yo form. That is it. Verbs like hacer, poner, and salir get a special yo ending, which is usually go or zgo. You just have to remember that one little change per verb. For example, with hacer, to do, you wouldn't say yo hago. That just sounds wrong. You say yo hago la tarea, and that's the only irregular part of the entire verb. And check this out. Every other form is completely 100% normal. Ella hace, nosotros hacemos, ellos hacen. They all follow the standard rules. So you just learned that one special yo form and boom, you've mastered the whole verb. Easy, right? All right, time for our third and final bucket, the rebels. These are the few, the proud, the verbs that truly don't follow any rules. They just do their own thing. This is where we find the real heavyweights, like ser and ir, to go. There's no pattern to find here. Each form is totally unique. I mean, look at them. Soy, eres, es, voy, vas. These are the verbs you simply have to memorize. But, and this is the good news, there really aren't that many of them. For instance, when you're talking about who you are, your identity, you use ser. Yo soy estudiante. It doesn't look anything like the original verb, and that's exactly what makes it a rebel. It's the same deal with ir. To say we go, you don't use a form that even starts with an I. You say nosotros vamos. Totally unique, totally rebellious. Okay, so we've got our 3 buckets, the pattern-following shapeshifters, the simple just me's, and the handful of rebels. Now let's see how they actually work together in real sentences, out in the wild. Here we go. We've got quiero. That's a shapeshifter from bucket number 1. It's followed by ir, which is a rebel from bucket 3. But notice something important. Ir is in its original form, the infinitive, because it comes right after another verb that's already conjugated. This is a super common structure. And look at this one. It shows how the rules all play together. Pensamos is that regular nosotros form of a shapeshifter, and right next to it is es from the rebel verb ser. See? They mix and match all the time in conversation. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's time to shift your focus. Stop trying to just memorize endless charts. Start looking for the system and the context. That difficulty, that feeling of being overwhelmed, it really starts to disappear when you see these verbs as tools for communication, not just as items on a test. Actually using them is what makes them stick in your brain. That's right. The goal isn't to be a walking encyclopedia of conjugation tables. The goal is to actually express yourself, to say you want something, to ask where someone is from, to talk about your day.
And always remember, all that stuff that seems like chaos can really be organized into just these three buckets: the shapeshifters, the just me's, and the rebels. That's the system that turns this giant mountain into just a few manageable hills.
So, using a verb from any of these buckets, what's the first sentence you're going to build right now? Go ahead, put this system to work. Thanks for tuning in.